Okay, hi, it's Delia. Thanks for clicking on. I'm going to start with a funny, me with my witch's hat on, which is actually a beautiful little gazebo, but I thought this was pretty hysterical. So I'm taking advantage of the gorgeous weather and being outside. There'll be periodic traffic, but I couldn't get out of the shade without traffic, so here we are. All right, so the reason I'm on here today is to talk a little bit about how healing works. And this is kind of like the mechanics. So our culture gives us this phony picture of upward incline all the time. It's the standard that corporations hold everybody to, as though you're supposed to have 30% growth every quarter, no matter what. And if you don't, then it's a personal failing on your part. At least that's the way it was when I was in the corporate world. But this whole idea of a straight incline, whether it's 5% or 30%, is just, it's not only wrong, it institutionally makes you think you're wrong, which is gaslighting, and it's been in effect for, however long it's been in effect for. But it's time for that stuff to change. So the way it actually works, and you see memes with this on Facebook and other places, like a squiggly line that goes all around. But the way I was shown internally, my guidance is standing at the beach and watching the waves. So let's say you're standing at the beach for 12 hours and you're going to watch the waves come in and go out as the tide goes in and as the tide goes out. So it's always changing. It's always changing. And a way to say it is it contracts and expands. It expands and it contracts. So the tide comes in and it goes out. And the waves come in and they go out. So it's all this multi-layer, circular expansion and contraction, which is how we grow. That's how organisms, that's how in the natural world, that's how progress is made. It's in this expansion, contraction. And it's been bastardized in our language because people say things like 1 step forward and 2 steps back. Well, that sounds very defeatist and like you failed. But the truth is to comprehend something, not mimic it, not just parrot it back, but actually comprehend it, make it your own. It will be a process of expanding. Okay, that's a nice idea. That's a good idea. And then contraction. I can't do that. That's crazy. And then expansion. Okay, how do I fit this in? So that contraction and expansion is organic. It's how we're built. It's on purpose. And so by socialization saying that it's bad and wrong, what is really being said is that you are bad and wrong, and how you operate is bad and wrong. Because if you are in your body, if you are in your center, if you are paying attention and not hypervigilance, just noticing, then 9/10 of the stuff that's happening in the world would have to stop, because nobody would put up with it. So all these mechanisms to keep us distracted, to keep us off our center, to keep us not trusting ourselves, to keep us in an adversarial relationship. I went through it, and I have had lots and lots of clients who go through these long periods of self-loathing or of not wanting to be themselves, wanting to be anybody else, and having valences and facades for every situation. And then you get to a point where your facade isn't working anymore, and you can't pretend you're this way with these people and then turn around and pretend you're some other way with these other people. It'll catch up with you. And the system is very effective. So when it starts to catch up with you, you'll feel like a phony You feel bad and wrong. You feel like you have a personal problem that nobody else has. But it's a systemic con game. And as long as you are, and this is any you, as long as you are not trusting yourself, and as long as you're still believing the lie that you being you is what caused all the problems. You being you is not what caused all the problems. The insane people you grew up with is the cause of the problems, and the insane structure of the society. And it, a structure that it wants no one to look at, right? So the more you're on your side, the more you're noticing things, the more you're saying, hey, wait, constant growth sounds batshit. I mean, that sounds like a machine. That doesn't sound like organic. You never see that in nature. You don't see it in people. And so this expansion, contraction is how we integrate information. Now, another thing that makes it all very confusing is that school is not about teaching you how to think. It's the exact opposite. It's about teaching you how to memorize and how to mimic and how to parrot back. None of those things help you learn how to think. All of those things get your center out of the center of you and out into the teacher or the authorities or the school book. Something outside of you that has more authority than you. And the way we're built is no one has more authority over you than you. That's how we're supposed to be. So be aware that the culture is riddled with strategic mechanisms to get you out of yourself, to keep you from trusting you, to keep you from denying or trusting your higher self, and instead of blaming the system, blaming your higher self for the pain and difficulties. So this can seem like really great news, and it can seem like, no, that's too much to take in. But it is demonstratively the way we operate, because we are humans and we are part of the natural world. We're organic beings. We're actually animals. Our bodies are animals, and that's not a bad word. That's not a bad thing. And your body has more wisdom than your schooling allows for, and learning how to listen to your body and how to communicate with your body, especially when you're in pain, especially when you're having difficulties, in a kind and curious way. I mean, curiosity is really, really potent because it doesn't have all the judgment. And the societal stuff can't work if you're in judgment. I mean, if you're not in judgment, you have to be in judgment for the restrictions to work. And if you're not in judgment and you're just seeing, oh, look, it feels illegal for me to speak up. It feels illegal for me to have my voice. It feels like I'm going to get in trouble. It feels like that time in second grade. Those are all signs that your body is giving you that you are growing past an old limitation of what I call control with a K, because it's all about domination and getting you out of your system. Control with a C is really capacity, like you see it in those people in the Olympics who love to skate. They have great control, but it's all out of joy. It's because they want to do something. So real control feels very different than what we're taught in our culture, control with a K. So learning how to turn things around, learning how to turn your perspective around, and ask your body what's it trying to tell you, and be curious, genuinely curious. What's this about? What are you trying to show me? What do you want me to know from this? Is opening a door to one of the greatest relationships you can ever have, which is to your true self, which encompasses your physical bodies, which is a sensory system trying to give you information that you actually need to navigate this 3D world, or this nutty world. So remember that growth is contraction and expansion, contraction and expansion. And that's natural, and that's how it should be. And you should be kind of triggered and fight different things as you're growing, because they're out of your trained periphery. They're beyond what your normal is. And that's these baby steps, this small contraction and expansion and trying on new things. That's how we make lasting and sustainable changes, generative changes, because you're growing out of programming and into your true self. And your body and your higher self and the universe are absolutely, completely conspiring on your behalf for your greater good all the time. And not being able to reconcile the daily happenings or the historical traumas of a lifetime with that is appropriate. And the more you do grow, the more that distance will change. And your perspective will change quite a bit. So you have to be willing to let go of the old, which is always kind of a cranky thing in our culture. And you have to be willing to be wrong. And you have to be willing to have been wrong in the past, but not from a judging place, but from a, oh, okay, that's a strategy I came up with in that circumstance, and it was perfect for that circumstance. But I haven't been in that circumstance. Those people have been dead for a long time. So there's a tendency to want to be loyal to the point of view that you had when you were 8 or 10 or 13. And that completely makes sense. And you have to be willing to grow out of that point of view. And that takes practice. It takes time. Give yourself time. So that's what I wanted to get on here today and say, and show off my witch's crown, my witch's hat, and enjoy and share this beautiful day with you. So all the best, and I'll see you later. Stay tuned.